Hey everyone, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give you my season one finale, review and discussion in regards to Peaky Blinders. So in this episode, we have the family making up. Ada has returned back into the fold of the family. It seems as though she has either forgiven Tommy her and Aunt Paul have forgiven Tommy for what they believe he did by turning in her lover and husband Freddie, or she and Aunt Polly have basically accepted Tommy's version of the story in which he didn't do a damn thing. So either or, the family's back together, and that's pretty good considering the fact that Tommy is planning on taking off. Well, same thing I guess. Taking off the head, taking out of business, same gist of Billy Kimber at this point in time. But as we know, Grace has basically resigned from the position of Inspector Campbell's double agent spy. So we see that he feels the loss grievously, especially since she denied him the proposal of marriage. So he has this meeting with Winston Churchill, and he lets known that she was a double agent. Well, reinforces that fact. I believe Winston Churchill kind of brought up her file actually. So after that's kind of brought up, he asks is what should they do with the Peaky Blinders since they were the ones that had the guns to begin with. So Inspector Campbell is like, listen, they'll destroy themselves from within. So let's not waste our time dealing with them. So after that, we see him actually go into a Chinese brothel, and after that event, I don't believe he actually went through with it if I remember correctly. Either way, after his time with the woman, he sees Tommy, and they have this very interesting discussion in which, despite them being very opposite, at least representing different sides of the coin, with Campbell being an officer of the law, or at least inspector of the law, and Tommy being the criminal side of things, they're both very similar. And Campbell basically was saying to Tommy that, listen, you and I, people like us, we're meant to be alone. Like the only type of affection we can gain, or have is when we buy it. you know, Basically equating that to the prostitute, because that's something that Tommy kind of insulted him about, a few moments earlier. Tommy's like, well, you know what? I have my family. And it's kind of funny how Campbell kind of chuckles at that. Kind of like saying, listen, man, I used to be like you before this consumed me, and I realized that you really don't have anyone except yourself, to be honest. But maybe we'll get more, about his family and how he became this guy, probably next season or so. So, I believe also before he left, he said that by the end of today, he will know what it's like to have his heart broken. So, eventually, we see Tommy make his way to the bar with his family, preparing for the battle with the Kimbers, and him and Grace are basically dating at this point, and she's now allowed to the family business. She's now allowed to come into the family meetings, but Grace is still feeling very guilty for what she has done: the shooting of the IRA member, the snitching to Campbell, so on and so forth, including the news with Danny, actually. Because I believe she also told him about how Danny, though people thought he was dead, he was actually doing business for them in London. So she's feeling really guilty and emotional about this. So eventually, everything comes to a head when the Kimbers, led by, the Kimber men, led by Billy Kimber, they're making their way to the area of the Peaky Blinders. And this is catching Tommy and everyone off guard because they had everything planned. They were going to have the lead be their backup, but due to Kimber, getting a lead from someone who we know is Grace, that throws everyone off their game. So when Tommy's trying to figure out who the hell could have done this, or actually, no, I think Aunt Paul was thinking that Aunt Polly was thinking that as well, and he realized, Tommy realized, only person I told was Grace. So you see Grace getting her stuff ready, packing up, and then you see Aunt Polly and her have this really great scene. Aunt Polly takes out something that's sharp, you know, and Grace is like, "Listen, you think I can't fight? I can fight. Let's go." And Aunt Paul's like, "Listen." Well, Aunt Paul's like, "I already know how this is gonna end. Okay. The only reason why I'm not fighting you is because you saved Tommy from the police last time. So I'm gonna give you basically a runner's a fighting chance in a sense. Not really fighting chance, but basically gave her opportunity to leave the town." And she basically made it clear also throughout this conversation that she knows she can beat her and that she would have killed her. But she's doing this out of compassion for what she did for Tommy. You mean what Grace did for Tommy. And she also revealed the fact that before the war, Tommy actually he wanted to have a career or something to do alongside of horses, and that he was a romantic, you know, and that he would probably, once he has some time, forgive her for what she's done, but that she's not Tommy, and that she's the one that she's in control of things and is the heart of the business, and that to her, she's nothing more than a snitch, and that she will never ever forget or forgive her, and that if she does not leave, she will kill her personally, and she doesn't give a freak who objects, even Tommy. So, yeah, that's basically how that scene ended. So now let's get to the showdown. The Peaky Blinders versus Billy Kimber and his men. So we see Tommy basically give this very impassioned, very great speech to his soldiers, which is like basically his brothers, a few other guys, which is like probably 10 people actually, saying, "Listen, we all fought in the war, and listen, this might be our last day, but let's make them earn it. You know, we're gonna go out guns a blazing and make your last rites or prayers to God, basically." And you know, the countdown is on 10 minutes. So after that's done, we see him have this really good scene with the bartender, and the bartender's like, "So now you know what it's like not to get everything your way. The girl you thought you could have, you know, basically by you just wanting her, but she ended up betraying you. Kind of way how you thought. I mean, kind of was kind of similar to like how like I had this bar, and you didn't even ask me. You just took it from me. You think everything had a price, you know? And I think you're a bad man, and so does most people around this area. But you're our bad man. So that's why everyone wants you to win. You have to win." So you see Tommy just looking at his watch, saying that nothing really matters. I mean, the past or the future, all that matters is this moment. So it's like he's getting back into soldier mode, but everything that matters is just the moment. So he's ready once that clock hits, and he goes out with his brothers and their little followers, and it's just a badass, like kind of like a western type of feel. You're seeing the men making their way, Billy Kimber and his men, Tommy and his men. And while this is going on, by the way, we see Freddie Thorne, who's in jail. He looks beat the hell up, and some guy, like one of the police guys, one of the prison guys, says they're gonna take him to another prison. And the dude, and I believe Freddie said, "Listen, you take me there, they're gonna kill me." You know, and the guy's not really having it. So they go, you know, into like the transitional like vehicle, transitioning him to basically to the next prison. And it turns out that Tommy had foreseen this, and that some of his men, and I specifically remember Danny being the one getting out the vehicle, stopped the van and basically saves Freddie Thorne, where Freddie Thorne knocking out the dude that was the guy that told him they were going to ship him off to the next prison to begin with, which leads to Freddie Thorne actually being a part of the actually joining the Peaky Blinders at the last minute with those machine guns. And I believe there was 2 machine guns left from that was in yeah, remember the machine guns that Campbell wanted, you know, that he was really he was negotiating with Tommy with. Well, I thought it was only 1 gun left. Apparently it was 2 guns, because I remember Freddie had one, and so did John Shelby. So that evened the odds a bit, because they were severely outnumbered by Billy Kimber's men due to the element of surprise. But that evened it out a bit with those 2 big old, you know, machine guns. So before all guns went to blazing, we had Ada come in, and she was saying, "Listen, this is stupid. Why are you all doing this? Blah 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 blah. You know what? Y'all gonna kill each other. Blah 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 blah." At that point, I was just kind of like blocking her out. I was just like, "Yo, move out the way. Let these dudes fight. Let men fight." I'm just being honest, even though she did have valid points. But the irony about this is that this caused a distraction, which Billy Kimber took advantage of. He shot, he shot Tommy, but he didn't shoot him in the heart. He missed. He missed his heart, but he got him like right here. You know what I mean? Near his nipples. Well, deep in the nipple. But Danny started to charge after him. So when Danny charged after him, Kimber shot him dead. But that bought Tommy enough time to shoot Kimber straight in the head, instantly killing him. So with Kimber dead, Tommy's like, "Listen, me and him had a one-on-one duel basically, and I won. So now I'm in control. So all y'all just go home. I'm your new leader." So once that happened, everybody went like the Kimbermen went their way, and the Peaky Blinders, were just kind of shook that their best friend Danny, the one who went to war with them, so on and so forth, all the history they have, he's just lying there, dead. So they pick him up, his corpse, and then we have the scene of Tommy having the bullet taken away from his chest, basically. Basically his nipple, and it was a very gruesome, very painful scene though. But also very entertaining in a weird, gorish kind of way. So what's interesting is that during this scene, we have Campbell and the sergeant, police sergeant, talking about what to do. And the police sergeant saying how Campbell has sort of became his worst enemy, how he let this job corrupt him, and saying the right thing for him to do would have been to stop this whole little blood-on-blood gang war between the Peaky Blinders and Billy Kimber. But instead, he just wants them to just kill each other, you know what I mean? And I believe Campbell's justification for that was like, "Listen, it's doing the world a favor no matter who comes out. If one dies, we'll just take the bones. You know what I mean? If they both die, then screw it. I'm still have my eyes focused on the prize." But the police sergeant's like, "You know what? No, you don't. Something is like holding you back, whatever." I mean, it's not just the corruption now that he thinks about it. So once the inspector finds out what happened, with the whole Peaky Blinders and that basically Tommy Shelby won, and not only that, Freddie Thorne was able to escape. Now he realizes that everything is screwed up now. Like, the Peaky Blinders killed Billy Kimber, so now they have even more power and control. It's gonna make them even more of a nuisance. And now Freddie Thorne, the communist, is basically out, and he's a part of the Peaky Blinders. So that's gonna cause Churchill and the Crown even more headaches, and make his job even worse, and even more frustrating. So basically, once all this happens, we see Tommy have like a conversation with Grace, basically heartbroken about it. They kind of laid on the table to a certain extent, and she tells him that she's going to either London or New York, I believe, in a week, and that she wants him to go away with her. But after that, we see him go to the bar, and he has this really interesting conversation with his aunt, and she says straight up to him, "Listen, there'll be other women. Just celebrate this, get over it, and let's go about business as usual." So we see him basically on a typewriter writing a letter to Grace saying that he'll give her an answer in 3 days, and that regardless, he thinks that he's just going to stay with his family because he's been working on this for several years, and that his family needs him and he loves them. So while this is going on, we see Grace going on the train, or about to go on the train, and then we see someone with a gun pointed at her. Or at least someone, we can tell by the camera angle that she's seeing this person, that she knows this person. But we don't know if it's Tommy. We don't know who the hell it is. It turns out to be Chief Inspector Campbell. He has a gun pointed at her, and it's very symbolic in a way. It's like he has a gun pointed at her while Tommy, and it's like cutting back and forth. Tommy's flipped the coin. You know how usually we flip a coin, it's like deciding head or tails, like which way you're going to go, this way or the other way. So Tommy, flips the coin, lands on the table, then he puts his hand over it, and then we hear a gunshot. So that's how the episode ends, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching my season 1 review, episodes of the Peaky Blinders. I'm looking forward to doing season 2. And yeah, adios. If I miss anything, please write it down in the comment section. Love y'all. Peace out.